Ever since I was a little kid, I dreamed about being an astronaut and to visit outer space and see what the universe has to offer beyond our blue marble. Well, things didn't turn out the way that I had planned, but I still love the cosmos and seeing what there is outside of our home planet. And that is what this list is going to cover. This list here is going to be 10 of my favorite movies that take place in outer space or just space in general. Maybe you have seen some and maybe you haven't, but if you haven't and one sounds intriguing, well, now you should give it a watch. I won't put any spoilers in this video just in case you were to want to watch one of these movies. I will put the timestamps for every movie in the description below along with any streaming services the specific movies are offered on if they are. Would also love any more space movie recommendations if the movie wasn't on this list, as I am always down to watch more space films. Well, with that out of the way, here we go. Number 10. Sunshine. 2007. The sun is dying, which means that life on Earth will eventually die as well. In 2050, Icarus is the name given to a human space mission to approach the sun in order to bomb it to reignite it through its core. The ship disappeared without a trace, unable to finish the job they set out to do. It's now 2057, and Icarus 2, with an 8-person crew, each crew member with a specific role, is making one last attempt to resurrect the sun. As Icarus 2 reaches the far side of Mercury, the crew members discover a distress signal from the first Icarus. After a debate on the pros and cons of going to check it out, still with the primary goal of completing their mission first and foremost among the team as a collective, the crew aboard Icarus 2 decides to approach Icarus 1 both in a hope to find survivors aboard and to use their payload as extra insurance in completing their mission. However, making this change in course has inherent risks in and of itself, those risks which the no voters used in their argument, some with the ulterior motive of selfish ideologies. This change does have unintended consequences which leads to the team needing to make further decisions which could sacrifice certain crew members. But what they may also discover is the reason that Icarus 1 failed their mission the first time, and they may be making the same mistake again. Number 9. The Martian. 2015. Ever dreamed about taking a space mission to Mars and being the first human to ever do so? I think it would be pretty cool and could cement yourself in the history of humanity. Well, that is what the premise for the 2015 thriller The Martian. During a mission on Mars, a team of astronauts is hit by an unpredicted storm on the Red Planet and have to abort their mission and leave for Earth. During the evacuation, one of the crew members, Mark Watney, is hit by a projectile due to the storm and is thrown away from the others. The crew is forced to leave him thinking he died due to a rupture in his space suit. However, Mark survives and now has to find ingenious ways to make it until the next scheduled Mars mission 5 years later with the remaining extremely limited supplies. Being a botanist, he manages to cultivate food and survives by scavenging parts of previous missions. NASA soon learns about him and attempts a daring and dangerous mission to bring him back. But they know the trip will take at least 4 years. Will they succeed in bringing him back alive, or will Mark spend his final days on a strange planet alone? Number 8. Gravity. 2013. Commanded by seasoned astronaut Lieutenant Matt Kowalski, the Space Shuttle Explorer orbits Earth to service the Hubble Space Telescope. With his retirement just around the corner, this is a routine mission for the experienced officer. But for novice medical engineer Dr. Ryan Stone, Kowalski's second-in-command, this is her first assignment in outer space. And out there, danger lurks in every minor misstep, as you could probably understand. When a dense cluster of space debris incapacitates the American shuttle during a scheduled spacewalk, the devastating impact tears Stone away from the ship, leaving her tumbling out of control through deep space with no tether attached. With the 2 stranded officers cut off and the oxygen supplies dwindling, the vulnerable astronauts must summon every last ounce of courage and resourcefulness to survive the odds. Marooned, can Kowalski and Stone do the impossible and return to our precious Mother Earth? Can you imagine just being stuck out in deep space with no control of your body and just free floating through the solar system? Wild to think about. Would be a pretty cool view though, not going to lie. Number 7. Planet of the Apes. 2001. Okay, this one is a little different than the others because this film doesn't take place much in outer space outside of a few scenes here and there, but it does entail the main character going to a completely new planet that no Earthling has ever heard of. In the year 2029, astronaut Leo Davidson, played by Mark Wahlberg, boards a pod cruiser on a space station on a rescue and recovery mission. But an abrupt detour through a space-time wormhole lands him on a strange planet where talking apes rule over the human race. Not even kidding, and you would think this premise is silly, but I actually enjoy what Tim Burton was doing here. With help from sympathetic chimpanzee activist Ari and a small band of human caveman-like rebels, Leo leads the effort to evade the advancing guerrilla army led by General Thade and his most trusted warrior Adder. Now the race is on to reach a sacred temple within the planet's forbidden zone to discover the shocking secrets of mankind's past and the key to its future. This is part of the Planet of the Apes franchise, but in terms of the story, this is a standalone film, so you don't need to see the 5 ape movies that came before this one if you don't want to. I know a lot of people aren't fans of watching early 70s movies like the first Apes movies. Number 6. Spaceman 2024. An intergalactic odyssey of love, ambition, and self-discovery. Orphaned as a boy, raised in the Czech Republic countryside by his doting grandparents, Jakub Prochaska has risen from small-time scientist to become the country's first astronaut to set foot in space. When a dangerous solo mission to Jupiter offers him both the chance at heroism he's dreamt of and a way to atone for his father's sins as a communist informer, he ventures boldly into the vast unknown of the solar system. But in so doing, he leaves behind his devoted wife, Lenka, whose love, he realizes too late, he has sacrificed on the altar of his ambitions. Alone in deep space, Jakub discovers a possibly imaginary giant alien spider that has somehow gotten inside his ship, and who becomes his unlikely companion on board. Over philosophical conversations about the nature of love, life and death, and the deliciousness of hazelnut spread, the pair forms an intense and emotional bond with each other, as they are all they have at the moment. Definitely is a movie that will tug at your heartstrings throughout. Number 5. Moonfall 2022. This is one of those space movies that you need to know before that you aren't going to be seeing a masterpiece, and Moonfall is just a good, entertaining popcorn flick that you shouldn't take too seriously. I think too many people were expecting something like Interstellar, but this movie was far from that obviously, and you should know that before watching. The premise is after a mysterious force knocks the moon out of orbit, conspiracy theorist Casey Houseman discovers that it is due to collide with the Earth in a matter of weeks. The news soon gets through to former astronaut turned NASA executive Jocinda Fowler, who comes up with a plan to save all of humanity from impending disaster. With time quickly running out, Fowler teams up with Houseman and her old astronaut colleague Brian Harper on a mission into outer space to prevent the moon from wiping out everyone and everything they love. Just a fun movie with many laughable lines, and the CGI and effects were surprisingly really good despite a somewhat low budget. Check it out sometime if you can't find anything else to watch. Number 4. Life 2017. In near future, a group of international scientists was sent from Earth to explore unknown Mars from the International Space Station. They got a soil sample from Mars which contained a sleeping cell they weren't aware of at first. After a series of attempts to figure out what it is, they woke up such cell and it starts growing bigger day by day. During an experiment, the living alien attacks the scientists and escapes from the highly sealed laboratory through an internal air vent, and now has been exposed to everyone on the ISS. Those horrified scientists, on one side, needed to protect themselves from being killed by this deadly creature, and on the other side they need to terminate it before it is too late, and makes its way down to Earth in an escape pod and takes over the world. However, this alien gets smarter and smarter as it continues to rapidly grow throughout the space station, and will do anything it needs to do to survive. There also is a nice little plot twist in there at the end, even you are a fan of plot twists like me. Number 3. Stowaway 2021. After taking off from Earth, the hand-picked, highly trained team of astronauts Commander Marina Barnett, biologist David Kim, and medical researcher Zoe Levinson embarks on a 2-year scientific mission to distant planet Mars. However, in their attempt to make the celestial body habitable and find a possible new home for humankind, the crew learns that they are not alone. Now, with the flight past the critical point of no return and the fuel and oxygen resources depleting, Marina makes a shocking discovery on the spacecraft. The hidden, unconscious, and wounded fourth passenger, Michael Adams, was hidden on as a stowaway. Suddenly, having enough oxygen to breathe becomes the number one priority, and while faced with an agonizing ethical dilemma, someone has to die for the others to live. But who gets to make that call, and is one life more important than another's? If you are a fan of space movies with great cinematography, believable acting and awesome special effects, this movie is definitely one for you. Number 2. Ad Astra 2019. As a series of immense energy surges sweep the entire solar system and the unprotected Earth, the U.S. Space Command suspects that the reasons behind the space anomaly may be the ambitious Lima project and the renowned long-lost astronaut, Clifford McBride. Now, Clifford's composed son and impeccable astronaut, Major Roy McBride, has to travel to the edge of the cosmos on a manned mission to the cold blue planet, Neptune, to see firsthand whether his father is still alive, and hopefully, locate the source of a problem that threatens the stability of our vast galaxy. The answers we seek lie 3 billion kilometers away, however, in the unending emptiness of space. Is Roy prepared to answer the ultimate question? Is anybody out there? A different kind of science fiction film, this one that moves at a glacial pace while telling the slow-moving story of an astronaut hunting for his estranged father, another astronaut who's missing and possibly become deranged. It's a beautifully shot movie that feels like it offers a more realistic depiction of space travel than most, and the cinematography is phenomenal in this movie. Number 1. Interstellar. 2014. Had to save the best space travel film for last, and just in general, one of the best films of all time, in my opinion. In the near future around the American Midwest, Cooper, an ex-science engineer and pilot, is tied to his farming land with his daughter Muff and son Tom. As devastating sandstorms ravage Earth's crops, the people of Earth realize their life here is coming to an end as food begins to run out. Eventually stumbling upon a NASA base 6 hours from Cooper's home, he is asked to go on a daring mission with a few other scientists into a wormhole because of Cooper's scientific intellect and ability to pilot the aircraft unlike the other crew members. In order to find a new home while Earth decays, Cooper must decide to either stay or risk never seeing his children again in order to save the human race by finding another habitable planet. The visuals in this movie are just something else, and so stunning. You get to see wormholes, black holes, and planets from a completely different galaxy in this Nolan masterpiece. Nolan knows how to make a film, and as far as space movies go, this one will always be number 1 in my head. And that is it for this one. Any other space films that should have made the list? Let me know so I can give them a watch. Thanks for watching.